Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll get started. Welcome. My name is Chris Monroe, and it's my privilege and honor to serve as superintendent for Santa Cruz City Schools. And I'm going to ask the other panelists to introduce themselves. But first, I want to introduce our translator for this evening. Jessica Serna Castaneda is a teacher in our two-way immersion program at De La Viega Elementary School, and she'll be providing translation for us this evening. Gracias por venir, Jessica Serna Castaneda. Traducir junto esta noche. Gracias, Jessica. Can you go ahead and translate fully what I said because my Spanish isn't great?
Y buenas tardes, gracias por estar aquí. Yo soy maestra de cuarto y quinto programa de dos salas y estaré traduciendo esta tarde. Así que en un momento ustedes van a ver un globo en la pantalla. Si ocupan interpretación del inglés al español, pueden ir allí y me estarán escuchando a mí en otro cuarto virtual.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and start the translation. And then I'm going to go around the Zoom room and have our panelists introduce themselves. The person I see on my upper left is Casey O'Brien.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey O'Brien, the Director of Student Services in what I think is the best district in the county, and I'm really happy that you're here this evening.
Thank you, Casey. Dorothy?
Good evening, everyone. I concur with Casey. Santa Cruz City Schools is a very special place. Dorothy Coito, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Thank you, Dorothy. And Sam, will you introduce yourself and start our evening?
I will, thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm Sam Rollins. I'm Chief of Communication for Santa Cruz City Schools. And I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Let me just start sharing my screen. Let's see.
It should allow you now. There we go.
Okay. So thank you everyone so much for being here. We know that when you start a new school year, there's always a lot of questions and you get so many emails from me and from your school site and from everybody. And so we always like to start off every year by putting ourselves at your disposal. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a short, I hope, bit of information where we're going to go over sort of some of our focuses for the school year very briefly, mainly talk about how you're going to access resources at your school, both academic support, but also mental health support, counseling, that sort of thing. And then after sort of a short report, we're going to spend as much time as possible just answering your questions. So these are our panelists today. Everyone's already introduced themselves. And I want to let you know that you can, at the bottom of the Zoom screen, as we go, you can be typing in your questions in the chat. The panelists will answer them as I'm kind of barreling through this. And then when I'm done, we'll go back to the list, make sure that we answer everything that we can, and we'll answer questions live as well. So we start every meeting in public by putting up our goals and our values at Santa Cruz City Schools. I'm not going to read through all of them right now. We will be posting this on our website tomorrow, so you can go through the slide deck if there's anything that you missed or anything that you want to read more closely into. The short version is that we see it as our responsibility as a public school district to make sure that every single student that enters into our system gets all the supports that they need and gets everything that we can give them to bring them to their highest potential and be put in a position when they leave the school when they leave their school experience to have as many options as possible for whatever future they choose. There's more specifics in there, but I'll let you read through those on your own. And most of the slides have English and Spanish on them, but for some of them, I'm going to have to remind myself to click it over so that Jessica can have time with the slide as well. Okay, so very briefly, this is what we're going to cover here today. We're going to talk about free food for all and the importance of signing up for it. We're going to talk about the focuses for this year, and that is starting earlier to start the conversation about college and career, even earlier in the school experience. We're going to talk about our policies and strategies around AI and social media, which is going to be a particular focus this year. Um, you see that says multi-tiered systems of support. That's just so that we can talk about what supports are available at school and how we deploy them. Then we're going to talk a bit about how to get in contact with academic help and mental health help at school. We'll talk about getting involved and what kinds of communication channels are open to you to get yourself heard and also to receive information from us. We'll talk a little bit about school safety. And then we'll also touch on our bonds, K and L, how grateful we are and sort of how important those are in the school district. And then we'll get to questions and answers. So to start with, we're incredibly happy to be able to offer free food once again to everyone in our schools. This is so good for so many reasons, both with families that need the extra support, but also as a matter of convenience. I know I've left the house a number of times without a plan, and it's really nice knowing that my kids can be fed at school. We did want to let everyone know that we're in a little bit of a strange situation where in the past, we always used the survey that we put out for families to see if they qualify for free and reduced lunch to gather a whole bunch of information that we must gather for the state so that we understand who's in our district and who we're serving. Well, now food is free and available for everyone, regardless of whether or not you sign up. So, as you can imagine, it's a lot harder to get people to fill out this survey. And only by fully getting enough people to sign up for it, essentially, do we unlock our full funding, not just for food services, but for math supports, writing supports, even counseling programs as well. So it takes about 5 minutes. We really, really want you to prioritize signing up for free food if possible. And if it comes up in any conversations that you have with your peers or neighbors, please let them know how important it is to us. It's just a piece of housekeeping that we really have to push every year because it's really important that we have people complete the signups. Um, and if you do qualify for what would have been the free and reduced status, you can get discounts on your Xfinity bill, even college entrance exams like SAT, ACD, or ACT, AP tests, and that sort of thing. So, okay. Um, our focus is for this year, similar to last year, we're starting the college and career conversation earlier in the year and earlier in the school experience. We're really happy that our career technical education programs have started or are now up and running in middle school. That's not that new. These are programs that give students the opportunity to, while they're taking academic courses, explore professional skills and careers at the same time. And as much as anything else, we really want all families to know how to keep your options open for college. And really, we want everyone to understand what's called the A to G requirements that you're going to see once you get to high school. Some of you might already be there. But you can go to any of our high school's websites and find in the menu these A to G requirements and learn more about the courses that are required for to qualify to apply to UCs and CSUs. Again, we want to make sure that everyone has all of their options open when they graduate. And so that's one way that you can get ahead of the curve is by looking at it and thinking about it now, even if it's a long way off. And we also wanted to point out that October is College and Career Awareness Month at all of our schools. Our staff will hang signs saying what college they went to, and we'll be able to answer questions about their career path and what they, studied in undergrad and all of that. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute when we get into talking about our counselors and counseling departments. And this is one where I should have switched far earlier, Jessica. I'm sorry about that. But October being the awareness month is always great, and it always sort of puts it in kids' minds. I know I've got a sixth grader starting in middle school, and you'd be surprised how interested she is in it already. It's real to her now. In fifth grade, it was a million years away, and now she's starting to think about it. Okay, so another focus for this year is continuing to refine our approach to AI in education, which is a complicated topic. We're really grateful to have so many members of the community, students, staff, um, and just community members providing input for our tech task force, who spent last year talking about and thinking about what guidelines and policies we should put together around AI. You can find that on our website. I think the easiest way to get to it is just sccs.net/AI. And really what we're trying to do is put together um, a set of expectations, but also a set of tools so that students can become literate in these new tools as they're popping up while learning responsibility, um, and not overly relying on them. And this is one of our focuses this year, is also while we're been teaching teachers how to engage with these tools in responsible ways, we're also going to focus this year on ways that teachers can um, create curriculum and assignments within the classroom that are, for lack of a better term, AI proof, just to make sure that there's activities where students are engaging, completely on their own, as they're on the other side learning about these tools and making sure that they're sort of literate to this new reality. And you can see it there. The goal is responsibility, not denial, rather than pretending that they're not there. We want to gear toward being responsible users of these tools. And again, we want to continue refining these things. So this is going to be an ongoing conversation this year with our tech task force. And by all means, as with any topic, if you have uh, a perspective on it that you think you should share with us, by all means, reach out. And we'll talk a little bit later how to reach out. So the other thing that's new this year for our high schools is a phone policy, a comprehensive phone policy that all of our high schools have adopted. For a long time, phones have been a way for the day in middle school, and obviously this is true of elementary too for the few kids who do have phones in elementary. But starting this year, phones will be a way for the entirety of each class period in high school. And most classrooms have set this up by having phone caddies on the wall where students turn them in at the start of class. We really just want to make sure that everyone knows about this expectation. You can find more info on our website where on the front page of our website, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the new cell phone policy, and, everything that we expect, and, how the whole thing is going to be implemented. And so far, it's going well without, a hitch. But this is not only California law now, but has been something that these are discussions that have been happening at our high schools for a long time, just to limit distraction within the classroom. And so we're really happy to be doing this together across the district. Um, but another focus on the same topic, another focus of ours this year is social media. We want to be educating both our students and our families as much as possible about the connection between social media use, phone use, and anxiety and depression. Um, our schools already have been doing this, but we're going to put extra focus on interacting with misinformation, vetting, and spotting misinformation. We've set up a new area on our website where we're going to be listing more and more resources for families. And you can find this on our website. If you go to the main menu under families, you'll see that we have some social media resources there. And these are largely guides for healthy boundaries and sort of health and safety while you're on social media, or if you're going to engage with social media as a teen or a kid. But also tools on how families can, set boundaries together and spend less time in that space, as well as just education in general about best practices for engaging in AI. We're also going to be talking this year about the Wait Till Eighth nationwide movement, really, to wait until at least eighth grade before letting students have regular access to a smartphone. And that's at least eighth grade. This is something that we're going to be weaving into to the year as we go and talking more about as a district as well. Okay, so that is sort of what on the district level is particular about this year, but let's get into the supports at your school and how you can access them. Like I said before, our support system, which is used by most schools in California, is called Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, MTSS. But all that really means is that we organize the supports for students around three tiers. One being supports that the entire classroom gets, sort of that's the general curriculum, um, and interaction. The second tier is for students who need a little bit more support or could benefit from getting together with like learners and working in small groups with educators. And then tier three just means that's when we have a one-on-one interaction, direct support between a student and an educator in an area where they need more support. So when we talk about MTSS and we talk about it a lot at the district level, this is one of the main ways one of the main things that we mean is these three tiers of providing help to students. So for the question of where to go for academic help, we want that to be as easy as possible. So if you see this list of people, any one of them can begin the process of getting extra academic help for a student if you think that that's something that they need, or at least to start the assessment process to see what other help the student needs. So the idea being, since every one of these people can kind of get the ball rolling, it's your job to interact with the person that you know best or feel most comfortable with, right? We say, ask who you know. For elementary, that's probably your classroom teacher. For secondary, maybe you have a better, closer relationship with the counselor or someone in the main office, and that's how you can get the ball rolling. The idea being, right, it shouldn't be your responsibility to know everything about our policy, so any point of entry should be able to get you to the right place. And well, we're incredibly grateful to have counselors at all of our elementary schools, but also dedicated social emotional counselors, essentially mental health therapists at all of our secondary schools as well. So where to go for social emotional help? It's basically the same answer as before. Some of our schools will have posters up on the walls with QR codes and things like that, where you can reference yourself or reference someone else if you think that someone just needs to sit down with a counselor or be checked on. Some counselors also have, boxes or slips where you can write it and drop it off. That's mostly for students, but for families, you can reach out to anyone and say, hey, I think that, I think my student or my neighbor, their student, someone needs to just have a conversation because they're going through something or whatever it is. We want to make it as easy as possible to make that connection. So again, ask who you know on campus. And if you don't know anyone, you can walk into the front office and start talking to whoever's there because we want it to be as easy as possible to engage with that kind of support. And sorry, Jessica, I should have switched halfway through that. And we'll talk a little bit about a little more about ways that students can engage with social emotional counselors and sort of how they're involved on campus in just a minute. Like I said, when we're talking about academic supports, that's the sort of MTSS pyramid. There's another acronym that you need to know, and that is that at your school, there's someone called an RTI coordinator, and that's essentially a teacher support teacher who supports all the classrooms, all the teachers, and helps track the progress of students to sort of see where someone is exceeding and maybe has a bit more appetite to go further, or where someone is finding themselves challenged and needs a bit more support. So what the RTI coordinator will do is organize supports around the student. What do those supports look like? They can be interventions during the school day, whether that's in the classroom with someone from the educational support staff, or taking a student out of the classroom to work in a dedicated space on a particular topic where they need extra support. There's also tutoring, and you can check on the schedule of tutoring opportunities in the secondary with your counseling office. We also have credit recovery courses in high school for students who particularly struggle in a class or subject area. And at the middle and high schools, we're really happy now to have peer tutoring, which is a system where we help to train students how to teach other students just as one more additional support in an area where they need support, where they're finding themselves a little challenged by the curriculum. We find that this is a really effective complement to the teacher's work because sometimes it's a little bit easier to engage with a problem when you're dealing with someone who has just solved that problem or gone through this struggle themselves. And then we believe in the next couple of years we're still going to be able to offer summer school to students who need additional time with the curriculum area even after the school year is over. And again, I'm sorry, Jessica. And we're really happy to be able to have RTI coordinators at school sites so that there is someone who can kind of provide that support across the board, and be a kind of backup support piece for teachers when it comes to organizing supports around a student. So all of our schools have counseling programs, and in elementary, that's pretty much just the elementary counselor. But in secondary, of course, counseling involves everything from mental health supports to, um, you know, course planning and building out college applications and that sort of thing. So we have comprehensive counseling programs at all campuses. One thing that we're happy about, and this kind of speaks to what we were saying before about starting the college and career conversation earlier, we have the California Guidance or College Guidance Initiative, which if you're in high school, you should be getting to know that soon. It's a set of tools that allows parents to kind of be part of the process of tracking a student progress toward their college applications and college readiness. We have social emotional learning. This is on the mental health side, built into curriculum from TK until 8th grade, whereas part of their classroom work, students are um, learning direct curriculum to build an understanding of their sort of the social emotional, their social emotional development. Like I said before, we are happy to have additional licensed therapists in middle and high school. That's our social emotional counselors. We also have social workers at all grade levels. We have substance use counseling available. We also have a lot of other programs available that you just need to ask for if it's something you're interested in, because we partner with a lot of people in the greater community where we can refer you to those supports. And we're really happy about our high school wellness centers, which I'll also talk about more in a moment. But that is a place where we provide sort of that one gate of entry to all our social emotional supports and our partner supports throughout the community, so that students or families who don't know where else to go can kind of stop there directly. So we now have permanent centers set up at Soquel and Harbor, and we are setting one up at Santa Cruz. And the idea behind the wellness centers is, rather than the social emotional counselor at a secondary site, just having an office somewhere in the counseling wing, they and other support resources are sort of concentrated in a center that's just for mental health, social, emotional health, and wellness. It's a one-stop shop for students to talk to anyone that they need to. You see, we call it concierge care because we have a wellness navigator staffed at the wellness centers who's always there to welcome students and see what they need. For a lot of students, they just need kind of a quiet place to sit and calm down in. There's students who like to meet there in the shared spaces and, just sort of hang out in a place that's a bit calmer than the quad. But if anyone is in need of consultation or time with a counselor, they can always walk into the wellness center and that's how they can get it. There's also just a library of resources, both for students to kind of navigate their own, you know, mindset or mood on the day, but also to learn more about the resources that that exist throughout the community with whom we partner that we can get them in touch with. And we're really happy with how those have been going. They've been very popular with students, from everything from a crisis to just a down day that we all have. Now there's, a place to go to just kind of calm down. Okay, so the other thing that we want everyone to know is how to best get involved both at your school and at your district, right? Every one of your schools has a PTA or PTO or a booster club, home and school club, whatever it's called, where parents get together and they help plan events. They help, they get involved at school, help fundraise and all that. Your school will also have a number of meetings that are hosted by school admin, and you can look for those. Everyone is an opportunity to, speak with the administrators at your school. Your school has a school site council, and this is something that has a set number of seats, but you can reach out to your principal and ask what it is and how to get involved on it. It's a group of parents who help advise the school and sort of on all matters and make sure that parents are heard. Um, if you have a student who is learning English, we have an English Learner Advisory Council where you can talk about what those supports look like and how well it's going and, what's needed. We also have a district advisory council, and that's something that you can always reach out and, um, ask how to provide that input. Um, and let's see. Oh yeah. I got confused with the Spanish. You can always attend a board meeting. We post the dates of all of our board meetings and the agendas of all of our past board meetings on the website, so you can listen in to what the Board of Trustees is working on, or if you have something that you want them to know about, you can reach out. And if there is a group that is lacking at your school site that you think, oh, I really wish they had something like this, start one. And the other thing that I'll say is it's really wonderful to volunteer at your school site, not just because your school needs the help, which, a school will always take more help, but anytime that you can take off work and either volunteer in the class or for a field trip, it's an amazing way to get to know the school staff, to get to know, your kid's teacher or teachers and their peers as well. I really recommend that as much as possible. Um, the other thing that we want everyone to know, I've said that a lot already in 20 minutes, um, is that every year we send out a survey. We call it our annual family survey. That's probably what it's going to be called when we send it out to you. And we really want to encourage you to fill it out and encourage you to encourage everyone to fill it out because we often find that people feel like they're not sure how to be heard by their school district. But I'm just going to go through a big list of things that have only come about because parents have asked for them in the big survey that we send out. We really carefully go through that and look at what the needs are in our parent community. So I'm not going to read through these too closely. Just know that because of overwhelming input from parents and students, we added a ton of math supports in the last 5 to 10 years. Because of family and student input, we've added a lot more mental and emotional health support of all kinds, leading up to the wellness centers, which, the first ones just opened towards the end of last year. Um, we've heard a need for more college guidance. And so that's something that we're expanding across the board in a lot of different ways. And again, I'm not going to read through all of these, but like I said, we're going to post the slide deck on the website tomorrow. We have expanded supports for English learners because overwhelmingly our parents let us know that that's something that they needed, as well as more support programs during the day and after school support programs. And we've made increases in lots of ways in campus security, which I'll talk to you about in just a minute. Again, this is all from parent input. So we really want you to feel empowered to reach out and let us know what you need. And please, tell us what we need to know when we send out that annual family survey. So if you want to get in touch, one of the easiest ways is through the website, and that's for the district, but that's also for your school site. On every single one of our websites, on every single page, if you scroll to the bottom, there'll be a contact form. And if you fill that out, it sends the message directly to the front office staff, who have been really wonderful about responding very promptly. So if you don't know who to reach out to, and if you don't know exactly who your question is for, scroll to the bottom of whatever page you're on and send a message. It's one of the best ways to get the ball rolling. Now, your school site and me will be sending you regular emails as well. You can always respond to that. I mean, just with uh, the welcome back email that we sent out, I have gotten a bunch of questions about things that weren't even in the email, but that's great because now I can go through them and, connect people with the right answers. Please reach out anytime we send a message out to you. We will also be sending texts occasionally. Usually this is just for reminders, or sometimes principals will send just a notification, hey, your email newsletter is out, check your email. Robocalls are a way that you will be contacted, but that's almost entirely going to be when your student has an absence, and we want the system to be able to notify you without having to call every single person who's been absent that day. Like I said, There will be a number of surveys that are sent to you, arguably the most important for us being the annual family survey. And then if we're in a week where we have what we feel is like a large volume of news, then we'll make a video update that just sort of like tears through, upcoming dates and, everything that we need to kind of, get out to you. And we'll also post that and other updates on social media as well. So I would encourage you to follow the district, but also your schools on social media so you can be in that loop. And down at the bottom is my email. If you're not sure who to send something to, you can always email me. And so far that's been that's been okay. I haven't been drowned in those, and so I can connect people with who they need to be talking to. So that's always a way that you can get in touch with us. We're almost at the end of my update and into the pure Q&A section. I hope my fellow panelists have been answering questions as well. But so we wanted to give a brief update on school safety because this is another area where we have made great strides in part because of input from parents, just everyone letting us know what a priority this is for them. The district follows the data that is collected by the Secret Service who tracks this on school safety, which shows unequivocally that engagement and relationships between students and the connection to the school are the most effective violence prevention on campus. So we train our staff on engaging with students, getting them connected into campus, and we also have events throughout the school year that are geared toward that. Our counselors spend a lot of time on that, making sure that students aren't isolated, that they're connected to their peers and to school in general. We're so happy to have licensed counselors who provide regular screenings on all students, really just check-ins to see if they have any stressors that are affecting them, or if they're in any kind of distress. Our counselors also, help the entire staff kind of become literate in these issues and run trainings on campus. Um, we also run regular trainings in incident response with first responders and agencies, uh, safety agencies across the county, and maintain close partnerships with them to make sure that, we have a strong and coordinated incident response in the event of any emergency. We now have smart keyless locks at our schools where exterior doors lock automatically and will only open for people who have been given appropriate access via their key card. At our secondary sites, we have external cameras. Um, we have an alert system that can alert all staff immediately if an incident is taking place. Um, uh, we're I feel like knocking wood. We're heading into fire season, and anytime there's something even anywhere near a campus, we get notified. Um, and we want everyone to know that you actually have an anonymous tip line that's available to you. If you go to your school website, you can find in the menu, usually in a number of places, because we want it to be very prominent. You have the ability to report a concern. That goes directly into a managed anonymous tip system that goes straight to us anytime there's anything that you're concerned about on or around campus. Similar to before, when I was saying that we don't really want you to have to worry about what the policy looks like, we want the point of contact to be easy. So if there's ever something that you think that we should know, you can go to the school website and submit it there, and it goes straight to us. Okay, lastly, before we get into the Q&A proper, we want to thank our community and inform our community about measures K and L. So the inform is we want to make sure that everyone understands that schools are given no budget for repair or large scale maintenance or building new spaces, replacing fields, all of these things. The only way that we are funded to do any of that is by facilities bonds, which have to be voted on by the community. So we're incredibly grateful that in 2022, the community voted overwhelmingly to support measures K and L. Pretty much every school is getting touched. We had a very busy summer of new roofs refurbishment, solar panels, classroom modernization, HVAC additions, the new gym uh, refurbishment at SoCal High, the theater at Harbor High, tons of things that would not be possible if it wasn't for community support. So we're incredibly grateful for that. Most of the work being done is what we call classroom modernization, but we also have a huge district-wide sustainability plan that's only possible because of measures K and L. There's some stats there. And the other thing is we are building a workforce housing 100-unit apartment complex on the west side for teachers and support staff. And that would not have been possible without the passage of the bond. So we just want to take every opportunity to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes such a difference in the lives of kids. And as you can see, I've got links here if you want to learn more about our bonds, more about our sustainability program. And if you go to the website under bonds, you'll be able to see the drop down for the educator housing project. And so you can learn more about that as well. So that's our big information download. If you have any questions about any of that or about anything else, please type it into the chat and we'll answer it. And a lot of people have joined as I've gone. Sometimes I feel bad for talking as fast as I do, but if there's anything that you missed or think I might have said before you joined, you can ask about that also.
And one thing I'd like to add is that Sam and I are going to be doing a budget roadshow at all the school sites this fall. So we'll be coming to every schools. There'll be a combined meeting of the site council and the ELAC to share the current status of our district budget, how schools are funded, the implications of the changing landscape at the federal level, and what that means for our schools, and to get your input on your priorities as families as we build our budget for the coming year.
I just wanted to add a little bit more information to regarding there's a question about how do we provide a classroom and experience for our transitional kindergarten students that are different from kindergarten. There is a focus on play-based learning, and our TK teachers are required to have early education experience. In addition, their professional development is separate from our kindergarten teachers. It's center focused. It is a appropriate curriculum and approach and instruction from kindergarten.
There's a question about the federal budget and the changes in the Department of Education and how they're impacting our district and what does state funding look like. You know, school districts are always impacted by the economy because when there's shifts in the economy, it impacts the state budget. Schools are the largest portion of the state budget. And there is a formula that protects us to some degree, but we are impacted by changes in funding. We had the benefit of federal COVID resources for 4 years, and it was the first time in my career where I felt like we were adequately funded. But right now, up like it was a week ago, we found out we are in fact getting our federal funding for this school year. And I heard this morning that the state has received our federal allocations. Federal dollars are the smallest portion of the dollars that we receive as a school district, but they're not insignificant, and they're for important programs like special education and programs to support students living in poverty and students who are learning English and students who are immigrants to the country who have different needs than students who are born here and raised here and speak English. So it's definitely impactful. It would be impactful if we lost those dollars. We were prepared to lose them this year because we anticipated it might happen. And we had contingency plans. Our district also established last year a new endowment that we're working to fundraise for with members of the community so that when we are in years that are the economy is impacting allocations to school districts, that we'll be able to tap into those dollars as a rainy day fund to ensure that students' school experience isn't impacted by the whims of the economy. So that's kind of a long and complex answer, but if you want more information on the budget, please come to our meetings at each of the school sites. And if you can't come to the one at your school sites, contact Sam or me, and we'll let you know when the next one is, and welcome you to come learn more. We may also do a webinar that is a redo of that budget presentation for anyone who isn't able to attend their school in-person event.
And thank you so much, Chris, for bringing that up. I should have brought that up as well. We do have a page on our website that talks about the endowment, and this is really just, as Chris was saying, an effort to create a sort of independent support that will be able to maintain stability in the event that funding continues to change, because of how closely schools are tied into the economy, both at the state and federal level. So if you want to learn more about the endowment, you can go to the website, sccs.net/endowment. We will be sharing more about it in general, but you can kind of read about it there if you're interested.
There's a question about curriculum changes potentially being impacted by federal legislation or changes in legislation or executive orders. Right now, I don't anticipate in California that we're going to have changes to our curriculum. Most of our curriculum is determined by the state and the State Department of Education and our board of in collaboration with our board of trustees. Families do have an opportunity to opt out of specific curriculum if there's a conflict for them and their values, and there are processes for that, and that's always been the case.
There's also a question about changes to our math programs. If you have a middle school student, there is a new adoption this year, an updated curriculum for students. And that really is a result of a new California math framework that has been implemented, and which our math teachers are actively learning. So really any changes in the program kind of follows that overlay of the math framework to the existing Common Core math standards. In addition to that, the real focus right now, in addition obviously to rigor and ensuring that our students are prepared for high levels of math, is really about something we called stance, which is forming a positive can-do attitude around math and really moving away from the mindset of I'm good at math or I'm bad at math. Really having students have that belief in themselves. So there's a lot of work around that. And we are looking also at a new adoption at our other grade spans in the coming years based on the new framework.
I do encourage you to anything that's on your mind. It's not that often that this group is all in one place in public, so don't be shy. And is there anything else that we want to say about the strategic math focus that we shared? And any more specifics that we want to share on that?
I think the other thing to share is that we're having focused professional learning for our school leaders and for all of our teachers of mathematics to support them in refining their practice. We have a lot of expertise on our team, but also they're a community of learners, and we're excited to also be partnering with our partner districts, SoCal, Live Oak, Mountain, Happy Valley, Pacific, and Bonnie Doon to ensure that there's a K-12, TK-12 continuum that supports students in being confident and successful mathematicians. There was a question about, there was, we did have a transition in a math teachers at Santa Cruz High. Mr. Denning, Principal Denning, sent home an email to all families to explain that the changes that are happening on that. So you can, if you contact the school, you'll find out exactly what that means. That we had a late resignation, and all of those classes that that teacher was teaching are being picked up by other teachers in the department. So we answered some of the questions in the chat on the Q&A. If you have follow-ups to that or would like us to discuss anything that we answered questions on, please let us know. There was a question about food service. Students are eligible for both breakfast and lunch every day. Some schools, the breakfast is only served before class starts, the first period. So finding out the schedule for service is at your school site is something you'll want to do. And for those schools that serve breakfast before school and at break, you can't get two breakfasts. You can only get one. I wish we could give it both at all break periods, but we can't. It's 2 meals. Do parents need to be fingerprinted to volunteer? Yes, and we have a system to make that easy for you. You can go through your school office or through our HR department, and we do the fingerprinting in the central office. You make an appointment with our HR department, and you can get your fingerprints done in about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a question about emergency drills. Do we have regular earthquake, fire, and active threat drills? We absolutely do. We do all of those types of drills a little more frequently with elementary schools and continue those drills all the way up through middle and high school. And Sam kind of mentioned some of the other automated responses and communication systems we have where we can communicate in district and on site, but also with first responders very seamlessly. And we even include first responders with a lot of our staff training and even some of our drills.
There are some questions that are being tended to in writing, but I just want to note that our LCAP is available on our website. Our local control accountability plan for the 25-26 school year is available on our district website in both English and Spanish. There's a question about where to access it.
Can attendees see the answered can everyone see the answered questions?
Yes.
Do we know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you go into that, I linked to the place where we post the summaries of our LCAP. And then I also did link to the volunteer page. There is a page on the website under families where you can read about sort of everything that goes into volunteering and how to get your fingerprints cleared. So that's in there as well.
Casey, do you want to answer out loud regarding health plans and that sort of thing?
Yeah, a parent asked a question about a specific health need that their child has. And we are so lucky to have licensed nurses that represent all of our schools, and they work closely with health clerks. Every school also has a health clerk. And so if your student has any sort of unique health need, it would be really great and important for us to know that. And so if we don't already know, you can certainly reach out to your school office and just let them know that you have some questions or potential needs for your child. And then our team will write up a specific health plan for your kiddo and review it as necessary We'll ask for information. Sometimes we'll ask for the information specifically from your doctor if you'll allow us to have that. So we're very specific and targeted regarding any health needs your kiddo might have.
Is another question, and that's a complex one.
Yeah.
We were told a few years ago to expect a 17% decline in enrollment by 2030, and we haven't seen that. I think all of the construction in the boundaries of our school district has made it so that we haven't seen that. Our enrollment has been relatively flat over the last few years, and we're still doing our counts for this year. It looks like we may be a little bit under projection for this school year, but we won't have confirmed numbers probably for another few days. So there was a question about ICE and schools. We have a clear protocol in our district around anyone requesting to see students during the school day that isn't their parents, and there's laws around that, including that, if anyone came to a campus and was asking to see a student or take a student that was not their parent or someone on their emergency contact list, they'd have to have a signed subpoena to do that. Our staffs are trained, and hopefully we'll never have to know what that means in our community. So there's something about family vacation policies. I want to, and Dorothy's responding to that in writing, but I just wanted to say that education is compulsory in the state of California. We can't excuse absences for vacations. We can't. We're not allowed to by law. We really, really ask you to schedule your vacations during vacation time, school vacation time. It does impact the resources we have on our campuses. It impacts our funding. And it can impact a student's, academic success. Being regular attendance is really important for academic success, continuity of learning. If for some reason your family is going to be out of town and it can't be helped, there you can do short-term independent study programs, which supports your child in staying up on top of their learning, and it also supports your school with meeting the requirements the state sets out for us. The state penalizes us when students are chronically absent from school, and it doesn't take much to get to that 10% where the state will penalize us for those absences. Sam also noted that in the chat that we are gonna have the recordings of this webinar. We'll post it on the website. So if you missed part of it, or you want to make sure that it gets shared with someone else who wanted to be here, it'll be available. Oh, there was a mandatory athletics meeting at the same time as this.
Oh.
Sorry about that. We will work on coordinating that better next year.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like us to answer before we wrap up this evening? Yes, students can always bring extra snacks, and especially if they have, students won't learn if they're hungry. And if a student forgets their lunch too, or they forget something, they can always go to the cafeteria and get fruit or something like that. It's always available, even if it's not breakfast or lunch time, if the cafeteria is open, or if you go to the office. And if a student has a specific medical need and needs to eat more regularly, we can definitely accommodate that and work on that. It's important to reach out to your school site, reach out to your school nurse, and we'll get that plan in place. Can high schoolers carry their own EpiPens? Yes, I was the mom of a high schooler that carried his own EpiPen. They can, they just we have a form that your doctor needs to sign and that your student needs to sign. When do we anticipate the Wellness Center being available at Santa Cruz High School? I believe in November. It's going to be a temporary one. We're going to be remodeling a space for that wellness center there. It's going to take a little bit longer to get that done. The plans are being drafted now, but there will be a temporary one in place, I believe, by November. Is that correct, Casey?
I'm sorry, I was reading one of the other questions. The Wellness Center,
At Santa Cruz High?
yeah, we're hoping for November. I think Chris may have mentioned, I apologize. Yeah, there's some other construction things that need to fall into place, but have an anticipated hopeful date of November. I was looking at a question. I think it's asking about maybe having doors open a little earlier for students at school in case parents work very early. And that's a tough one, I think. We try to open doors and have our schools open as long as possible before and after school. And we also work with our staff with their contracts and try to stagger those effectively. So if you have a specific need at your school, you could reach out to me and I might be able to help you find something out or learn something to make sure your student is accommodated for.
There's a question about the cafeteria at Santa Cruz High still not complete. That is true. It will be completed soon, but they still have the food truck that food is served from. Planner for middle schools should be distributed in your child's in one of their classes. If you can check specifically with the campus, but each of the middle schools do have planners. Some feedback on food selections. We appreciate that. There's a question about resources for trans students. Do you want to take that one, Casey?
Yes, we have a big focus on our LGBT community to make sure that all of our students are safe and our LGBTQ plus students can be more at risk, and we know that. And so all of our staff advocate, and you'll see it all over campus if you enter, that we're a safe place for all students with LGBTQ flags and bumper stickers and other things. We work very hard at that. We have all sorts of different things in place where students, if they have a preferred gender pronoun, that we can put that into our system. And we make sure that teachers ask students what their preferred pronouns on the very first day of school. We have an LGBTQ task force. And if you would be interested, we would love to have parent support and membership on that task force. So you can reach out to me. I just put my phone number in to another parent. You could call me. We'd love to have you. So a lot of different resources and work very hard to make sure that we're a safe place for all students, particularly students that are at high risk.
Go. District office number. as another way to connect with us. Sam showed lots of ways to connect in this, including going to the district website. But we welcome families. We welcome your input all the time. And we do have lots of committees, including the LGBTQIA plus task force, if you're interested in serving on that, because we want to make sure every single student and every family is supported and welcomed in our schools.
And I also shared a link in the Q&A. If you go to sccs.net/LGBTQ, you can see where the LGBTQ on campus club meets at each secondary school. And so students can look there, and that's a good place to connect with supports on campus as well.
And all
Is there
those
any-
clubs work closely with the Diversity Center in town as well. And we celebrate all sorts of things like Coming Out Day and Harvey Milk celebratory month, I believe it is, not just a week anymore. So lots of different things. And I agree with Sam, the clubs are a great way to get connected.
Student planners are available at the high schools. Most of our high school students, we don't use planners at the high schools. They're encouraging students to find the best way for them to organize themselves by the time they get in high school. Lots of students are using their own Google Calendar and Google Classroom tools to keep track of their assignments and plan for their assignments. And that's a part of that transition to high school.
I would add, I'm lucky enough to have a freshman this year at Santa Cruz High School, and I've already seen every one of her teachers help her with her executive functioning and organization to set up for success in those classes. So she was really happy about that, and so am I. Kind of her own planner of sorts.
We're just at 7 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar for this evening. We really want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And please know that if you have questions or concerns or needs, that your school site teams and your central office teams are here to serve and support you. Have a great school year.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
You're
you.
showing your love for your children and your students by being here tonight. So good on you.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Take care. Good night.